I definitely want to talk about that, but I want to know a little bit about just the financial piece. These days, a lot of folks of your stature would operate with an agent, and I think that maybe the first person to use a quote unquote agent was Lex Luger, or at least that's the narrative in pro wrestling lore. Did you have an
Ac-
agent at that
a-
time or no?
Actually, the first, I'll give you a little trivia, was Ventura
Okay,
with Barry Bloom.
got it.
Then Steamboat with Barry Bloom. I didn't have an agent. I just had a lawyer, who double
Right.
crossed me, who double crossed me when they sold the Turner, because my lawyer in Charlotte, Crockett hired, and when it came to the merger and the selling, I was the last one to know, because they wouldn't have bought the company as we've talked about without me. And if you don't believe that, find Blair Schnittfeller, wherever he is. He negotiated the purchase, and he told me later on, well, you should ask for a lot more money than you got. I said, why that? Because we wouldn't have bought it without you.
Oh man,
that,
that's not
that,
what you want to hear.
no, it certainly wasn't. And that caused a big rift with me and Dusty and Jimmy. That,
So
they always work. Always work. It always works. What we're looking for. These things always seem to work out. But
yeah,
with Jimmy, it just didn't work out ever. I didn't talk to Jimmy for 20 years. I spoke with him the week before he died, but it wasn't so much me. I just, you know, I couldn't imagine being that close to someone for so long, and then them not, letting me be aware of the consequences, and
circumstance. Yeah,
and not wish for me to have the best possible deal.
right.
That's what I couldn't understand. And then ultimately, a lot of people don't know this. After I made the verbal agreement with Vince, shook his hand, um, Jack Petrick and Hurd and those guys took me and my lawyer to lunch at the Ritz, the hotel
Yeah.
in Atlanta. You've been there, Conrad. And they offered me $3 million for 2 years. And I turned it down because I just I couldn't let it sound.
It's amazing to think about what if, and we actually talked about that in depth
And
with Mr.
I
Hurd.
can prove that statement. Ask Dennis Guthrie.
Oh no, Mr. Hurd copped to it. Like we discussed it in our conversations with Conrad thing, and I think that was his first interview in the wrestling space in decades. But no,
Yeah,
we trusted our friend.
I could have gone for 500 or 1.5 million to sign it. But my lawyer looked at me and said, the minute I heard that you on paper, it'll just make you miserable anyway.
Yeah.
So there again, that was just the way it went. So I kept my word to Vince, which, I feel good about. I left a lot of money on the table, but then more than that, I left my friends behind. That was hard, but like I said, I was lucky to have friends everywhere.
Rick, let's talk about heat because there's a fair amount of heat going around New York. Of course, famously, the Ultimate Warrior, as wrestling lore has it, held up Vince McMahon for more money. He wanted a Hogan like contract. And as soon as he comes out of the ring, he's promptly fired. Uh, you don't get a ton of time to work with him here in the beginnings of your run. Of course, we know he's going to be brought back after at WrestleMania 8 the following year. But what was the rap you were hearing about the Ultimate Warrior in the WWF?
Funny and nothing. I wasn't privileged at all about that. I mean, I knew about later on, but I mean, here's the deal. You hold up the company, then you sue them, which you did. Then you end up in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what I think. it's the way the company operated, right? There's a lot of people in the Hall of Fame that just are there I can't figure out any rhyme or reason why they would be, other than it's a political, something's gone array politically, and they're always wanting to heal damaged situations, which I admire them for, but it certainly doesn't mean that someone needs to be in the Hall of Fame. To me, that should be based on skill, ability, and what you've done in the business.